Yo, what is up guys, Gray here, and today we've got our team builder for week 1 of the PMC. We're going up against my good friend Mid and the Kentucky Torracats, and yeah, we're currently unbeaten against him, 3-0 I believe. We seem to be in every league together, so this is not the only battle for like this season, I guess for my leagues. You'll see me go up against Mid. We're actually going to face him 3 times, so I believe we do anyway. I don't know if we face each other in the PTL, but certainly in the PMC and the IBLD League we do. But this is the first one we came up against week 1. He was first in the draft, we were 14th, so quite a big difference in where we were placed in the draft. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really make any difference. But his team is extremely scary. How he got a couple of the mons that he did, I will never know. First up, we got the Coco and Zygarde 50. Like, both are first round picks, potentially even first picks overall, which is why he picked up Coco first pick, I assume. Zygarde, I have no idea how that made it all the way around to like pick 32. Sorry, by the way, I'm getting ill, so if I'm coughing a lot and needing drink all the time, then yeah, that's just how it is. That's how I'm going to get through the video. So, without further ado, let's get into the team builder. He has, like I said, the Coco, Zygarde 50, Nihilego, Serena, Milotic, Uxie, him on top, Escavalier, Piloswine, I would say Pyroar then, very different ones, Raichu, Alolan, and Mega Absol. His sea captains being Tapu Koko and Alolan Raichu, both of which are very scary. I expect potentially both of them to come. Definitely the Koko is going to turn up because it's Tapu Koko. It turns up to every fight. Doesn't really matter what you have on your team. As it is, I have Mudsdale, which isn't the greatest check to Koko anyway, and as you can see, I'm not bringing it, so go find another way of working around Tapu Koko. I expect Zygarde 50% to come, because again, once Slowbro goes down, that thing kind of just runs house on my team. Nihilego potentially will come, Serena, I don't think it will, but there's an odd chance it might, but I don't see it coming, because I've got too many things that are very good against it. Uxie potentially could come, it's very bulky, it's a good partner to Milotic in this one. I missed out Milotic, Milotic is definitely coming. There's no doubt about that. It just kind of is a great all-round check to my physical ones, and if my Zapdos goes down, I find it very, very difficult to break it. So, him on top, it's trash, it's not coming. If he does bring it, it's because I've just called it trash, pretty much. Escavalier, potentially, but I don't necessarily think it's going to turn up. Piloswine seems very likely. Again, it's his best stealth rocket. He doesn't have many rocks on his team. So, yeah, I see either Uxie or Piloswine coming for rocks, and I think Piloswine just gives him slightly more offensive pressure. So, no doubt Piloswine is going to turn up. Alolan Raichu might show up. It's pretty good against my team, but at the same time, I do have this first model you can see on the screen, and it checks it very nicely. And then he's got Mega Absol, which, again, I think it probably will turn up. I think that's his best way of dealing with my Slowbro. And Slowbro, as it is, I say that, he's got 2 electric types that obviously deal with it very nicely, but at no point am I going to stay in against his Koko or his Raichu. So, yeah, team I think he's going to bring is Koko, Zygarde 50, Milotic, Piloswine, Mega Absol, and I'm going to say it's either Uxie or Nihilego. I don't think that he's going to bring the Raichu just because it does get pursuit trapped very easily by Tyranitar, and if he decides to go for a nasty plot, then he's not going to OHKO with Z Focus Blast. No, sorry, he does OHKO with Z Focus Blast, he doesn't OHKO with regular Focus Blast at +2 with the set that I currently have. So, getting into my team, like I just said, if you count the Tyranitar, I am bringing my son Tyranitar with an AV and the Sandstream. It's extremely specially bulky. That's because Tapu Koko is a scary boy. It does a lot of damage, and even with this much special defense, if he runs like a naive nature or something and U-turn, then U-turn still does like 30% to me. So it doesn't really matter what I invest into my Tyranitar, it's still going to be doing like a minimum of 30%. If he is running Z Dazzling Gleam, then that's a bit of an issue. It only does like 50%, but it does put me in range of quite a few things on his team, especially if he then U-turns out, then that can be a bit of an issue. Other than that, it really does just check his special mons extremely well. Like I said about Alolan Raichu, unless he's running Nasty Plot and Z Focus Blast, Nasty Plot's on my switch into it, which again is quite a ballsy play, but I wouldn't put it past Mid. He is a good battler, so I'm thinking he's probably going to just go for like a Thunderbolt or something on a switch, which does virtually nothing to this set because it is so specially bulky. And at that point, I can pretty much get a free pursuit off, and it will OHKO from full. With an adamant nature and this much attack investment, it will OHKO from full, even if he doesn't switch out. So that puts me in a great position where if he doesn't Nasty Plot and then show the Z Focus Blast, then that Raichu is dead. It's done nothing, effectively. It would have weakened my Tyranitar, but I mean, there's nothing else on my team particularly that wants to take on a +2 Raichu, so yeah. I think the risk of having it set up a Nasty Plot on my face, that's a bit weird, in my face is worth the reward, because this thing does just check everything special on his team, and he doesn't have that many special mons, to be fair. Nihilego literally cannot touch this, cannot touch it at all. Saying that, I also can't touch Mega Sizzle, so I'm thinking that potentially Nihilego isn't going to turn up. But we'll see, we'll see. Again, it's a good rocker, and it does deal with my Zapdos and my Chandelure very nicely, and can run Thunderbolt for Slowbro, so it could show up. I do think that Uxie or Alolan Raichu are probably better against me, but that's just kind of... I don't know. I'm not going to not prep for Nihilego because there's a good chance it does turn up. Next up, we have got Lefty Scissors for by Mega, and again you can see it's a very mixed bulk with more special bulk than anything. This is mostly so I can just kind of tank hits coming in and out. I have a very high defense stat as it is, so I don't really need to invest too much on that. I do believe I take 2 + 1,000 arrows with this spread. Again, I could be wrong. I'm trying to remember my calcs, but it was a little while ago. It was probably a couple of days ago that I actually built this team. I'm recording this just before battling, so I say just before. I think we're battling like next hour or so, or somewhere around there. Yeah, so this is a very standard bulky Scissor, Bullet Punch, U-turn, Defog, Roost. 100 in for Death. I believe that is just to take a Hidden Power of Fire from Nihilego quite well. Also lets me live a... I can't remember my calcs particularly great, but I think it helps me live like 2 Volt Switches or something from Coco or something along those lines. It definitely helps me deal with this special threats. My low tick, I have got enough speed in there, hopefully, to outspeed my low tick. It depends on whether he has decided or not decided to run a speed investment himself. He may expect a potential creep and creep himself, but if he doesn't, if he decides to run no speed, which I expect he probably will, then I get a U-turn off before he can use Scald, and I can go out into either Slowbro or, if worse comes to worse, Zapdos or Tyranitar. Slowbro I think is always my switch in, unless I feel like he's going for a Toxic. If I've seen Toxic, then I feel like potentially that is not my switch in. But then again, nothing on my team other than my Mega Sizzle here really wants to be Toxic. I guess maybe me and Shao isn't the end of the world if he gets Toxic, because it's an offensive mon. It's not really going to want to take hits anyway, so a little bit of chip damage isn't going to be the end of the world. 100 in attack, I think I just threw whatever else I had left into attack, and it does secure a KO, I believe, on Nihilego. It does a lot of damage to Tapu Koko. Because it is a Mega Sizzle, it still has a ridiculous attack stat, and it can just kind of do fairly big chunks to a lot of things on his team. This is the main reason I don't think Serena is going to turn up, by the way, because, well, firstly, it's not very good against my team other than Tyranitar and Slowbro, and yeah, I feel like Mega Sizzle is just impossible for it to break, so yeah, I don't see Serena coming. That is Mega Sizzle. Next up we have Slowbro, fairly standard Slowbro actually. Running just enough in its bulk to be able to live a, I think it's a roll on plus 2,000 arrows from Zygarde, depending on his set. He runs like Adamant, fully offensive, then I think it is a guaranteed 2-hit KO, but at the same time, at that point I can just get my Regenerator, go back in, and be just fine. It doesn't take Outrage very well, but if Zygarde does go for Outrage, then I switch into my Mega Sizzle, which can obviously live any like +3, +4 I think it doesn't even get 2-hit KO by +3 outrage. So yeah, if he clicks outrage, then sure, it's going to do a lot of damage to me, but I can switch straight out into my sizzle and gain initiative again. So yeah, this is a fairly standard set: Scald, Ice Beam, Toxic, and Slack Off. If Zygarde is terrifying, so I used it in the PTL and I didn't have much success, but that's just because everyone preps really hard for you. So I've done the same with just this Slowbro really. Toxic is there in case he has weakness policy, as if he gets a weakness policy it kind of just ruins everything, especially if he gets a second Dragon Dance up. So he's either going to be Yachi or weakness policy in my opinion, and that's why I got both Ice Beam and Toxic. So if he is Yachi, then firstly it comes in, if it sets up a Dragon Dance, then I go for Toxic because I don't want to be swept by weakness policy, because at that point it's taking a residual damage, and I know I can live one and throw off an Ice Beam if it's weakness policy. Then worst comes to worst, it lives on one and then dies to the Toxic. And if it's Yachi, then it takes a fair chunk, but it's not weakness policy, so it's not going to be able to actually do enough damage to my Slowbro to be able to 2-hit KO it potentially. So I think, yeah, this Slowbro should be able to just kind of pivot around Zygarde quite nicely, and it will be there to completely wall it when it needs to. Scald is there obviously just for potential burns. It's the freest Scald, freest move in the game just to spam. So yeah, and Slack Off doesn't really need explaining. I just slack off when I feel like I need to slack off. So yeah, that's Slowbro. It does check a few other things, doesn't check Serena, but like I said, it's not likely that Serena's going to turn up. Checks Piloswine, and I feel like Piloswine may run Toxic just because of that, so I've got to be wary for that. But if it's running Toxic, that means it's not running either a strong Ice Stab, or it's not running Priority, or it's not running Earthquake. And if he doesn't run Earthquake, then Tyranitar just sits there and beats it every day. I say that is going to get Toxic, so maybe not. But next up we have Ling the Mienshao with the Choice Scarf, Reckless Ability. I'm actually looking to change this set. I think actually I might just change this now. Really professional. Let me just do this. I'm going to go with Drain Punch I think over Toxic, because I did a quick prep before this, quick mock before this, and Toxic really wasn't viable unless I led with Mienshao and he led with Milotic, because then I get the Toxic off, but even then I'm risking the Skull Burn, and I don't want to really risk the Skull Burn. If he leads Milotic, then I just U-turn, or I knock off one or two. U-turn probably preferable, because even if he gets the Flame Orb, I've done a whole mock against Flame Orb, and I know I can beat it. So that's not the end of the world if he gets his Flame Orb off. And so I'd rather just U-turn and not get burnt than stay in, knock off his Flame Orb, and then get burnt and do less damage than if it had Flame Orb. So yeah, Mienshao is fairly standard. I was thinking about running Poison Jab, but to be honest, High Jump Kick is still a 2-hit KO on most Coco sets, unless he's running a lot of bulk. If I don't want to risk a High Jump Kick, that's why I just put Drain Punch on there. And also, if I'm running a little low and I know outspeed and pick up a KO, then I can use Drain Punch and put myself back in a good position to continue to just use Mienshao as a decent pivot. A lot of these mons here are just like pivots. As you've already seen, I've already got 2 U-turners and Slowbro who can switch in and get regenerated straight back out. So that's really nice. Knockoff is there obviously for the Uxie. It is there in case he switches into Milotic. Like, Knockoff is a nice move to just kind of spam if he is going to switch out, and I know he's going to switch out. So yeah, other than that, Mienshao's just here to pivot and then do a lot of damage. Next up we have Pervertibate, Chandelure, the Ghostium Z, and Calm Mind. Initially this was a Z Sunny Day set, and it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun, but it really just didn't do what it needed to do. If he runs anything Scarf that's quicker than it, then it just kind of loses to it. Not to mention it loses to Sucker Punch and Absol. So this thing if Absol goes down, it has a great time. It just has the best time, because if you set up one Calm Mind, there is nothing on his team that will take a +1 Shadow Ball. I say Shadow Ball, Ghostium Z Shadow Ball. Literally nothing on his team, not even Milotic. Milotic, unless it's Spadef, like fully Spadef, it takes like 80 to 89%, somewhere around there. So it's not switching at all. And if I have to, I'll set up a second Calm Mind just to guarantee the Oko. But it depends on my positioning. Like, if it's early game and I just want to punch holes, then I'll probably just set up one Calm Mind and start just hitting things. If it's late game, like I intend it to be, I intend it to be there for when everything has gone down that can actually check it, and then I can just kind of sweep up. There are lots of things on his team that I can set up a Calm Mind on. You got Raichu, I feel like he would just switch it out. Scavalier will switch out. Him on top can't do anything to me. Uxie can't do anything to me other than maybe Toxic or T-Wave, which would be problematic, but it can be worked around. Milotic with a Calm Mind up actually does like 30% with Scald, somewhere around there. Serena will switch out, it can't do too much to me anyway. Nihilego is scary. If Nihilego is there and it's Scarfed, then obviously I'm not going to set up. Zygarde, it's not. Certainly I can set up Calm Mind, but it does just get obliterated by Z Shadow Ball. And Coco again, at +1, I think it just dies to a Fire Blast. So yeah, this thing is horrendously powerful, and hopefully it will just kind of either bust through his team or it will sweep up late game. Running a Modest Nature just for that extra devastation, I guess. Energy Ball is there in case I don't have a chance to set up, and Milotic is in range, because Shadow Ball, Energy Ball does more than Shadow Ball does, but not more than Z Shadow Ball. So if I don't have to use my Z, then I won't use my Z. I think it's going to be a case of probably having to use it anyway. Lastly, we've got two Zaps. Expert Belt holding the Zapdos. It's got Volt Switch, Heat Wave, HP Ice, and Roost. It's mainly kind of just a offensive pivot. It's not necessarily there to do a shed load of damage. It's just there to really kind of be annoying and switch rounds. If he brings both his ground types like I expect him to, he's probably not expecting me to bring Zapdos, to be fair, because Volt Switch is not optimal against those two, but it's very much optimal against Milotic. So this gives me an easy kind of pivot. If he switches into Milotic, then I can switch into Zapdos, and for most of the time I can just click Heat Wave or HP Ice if I'm predicting the switch. But I feel like it's a fairly free play for me just to click Volt Switch, because I have a switch in to his ground types in Slowbro. So yeah, Volt Switch, if I click it and he goes out into Zygarde or Piloswine, that's fine. I don't really care too much, because again, like, Piloswine gets completely checked by Scizor as well. So I can go into either of those, and especially if he's running Toxic and not running, like, I don't know, anything at all for Scizor, then yeah, that's ideal. Like, that'll be a switch in 100% because it can't be Toxic as well. Running enough speed, I don't remember what this is. I think it was to outspeed what I expect his Zygarde to be at. I want to say that's what it is. Because I got a bit of a gap, I think that's what he's going to be trying to... He's trying to speed creep my Chandelure, I believe that is. Because I think Chandelure maxes out at 1445. So I think that's what I'm looking at. I'm fairly sure. The rest of it was as... okay then, Showdown. You decide to disconnect. Okay, so I just had to cut that out of the video because Showdown disconnected and it showed all of my teams for the next few weeks, and I can't have that in a video. So yeah, last up we have Zapdos running timid with enough speed to outspeed, I believe, his speed creep on Zygarde of Chandelure, and then a bunch of it in defense just to kind of take a hit, and the rest just shoved into a special attack. Heat Wave is my best option to hit Piloswine, if I can knock it off. So if he leads Piloswine against my Mienshao, I'm fairly sure he knows he can live a high jump kick unless I'm banded. So he's probably going to go for a Stealth Rock, or he's going to... he's most likely going to go for a Stealth Rock, I think, on that first turn. He's a brave guy if he decides he's going to stay in and take the knockoff. But I expect him to switch out and potentially switch out into Milotic. But Mienshao is my lead. So regardless of what he leads with, Mienshao is my best Mon, because it outspeeds anything that's not Scarfed on his team, and the only thing that I think that if it's scarfed outspeed is Raichu and Koko. So yeah, I'm not too worried. It's a fairly solid lead. I don't expect Koko to actually be. I expect Koko to be Life Orb maybe, and a load on Raichu if it comes to be the Z. If I don't see a load on Raichu, then probably going to see Tapu Koko as Z. Another thing I forgot to mention with Mega Sizzle is that it defogs on both his rockers. So unless he wants to be a man and stay in with Nihilego, expecting the defog, then it just gets OHKO'd by Bullet Punch. So I don't expect him to stay in. I expect him to switch out, and that gives me a free defog. And all day, every day, Mega Sizzle will check Pillar Swine. So I can defog again on that. I can roost up afterwards. So yeah, it just beats both of his rockers. Oh sorry, both. He has Uxie as well, but Uxie doesn't want to take a U-turn. So again, like it checks and beats all of his rockers. So running defog on it is the safest option. Chose that over Zapdos, especially because I wanted the free moves and roost on Zapdos. I wanted that ability to be able to hit as many things as possible and to have my recovery. And when I was looking at it, I was just like, you know what, Sizzle is my best defogger by a mile here. So yeah, that is the team. The battle will be going up shortly after. Probably, I think it goes up. This goes up on a Saturday, along with the draft analysis, and then the battle goes up on Sunday. So yeah, I guess I will see you guys tomorrow with the battle. Fingers crossed we pick up a W, go 4-0 against Mid. I'm sure he would love that. But yeah, I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.